Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the weekly wrap-up show, Week 6. It's your boy, Brett Swinney, joined by Jeremy Hubbard, Brandon Ogden, a.k.a. NetSN Brandon, Mr. Red Zone, Kyle Owens, and Vincent Johnson. Guys, welcome.
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
Man, I'm glad to be back. I feel like I'm lost. I hadn't been here in so long. I've been so caught up in Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, I haven't been able to come on NSN this week. Sorry.
So it's comedian Jeremy now.
Listen, it's my wife has watched more NFL football in the last 2 weeks than she ever has. Being honest, she's like, "When do the Chiefs play?" I'm like, "Who cares?" And she's like, "I do," and I'm like, "Okay, so we'll watch it."
Oh man, how's everybody's week going?
Good.
Brandon, you had a rough week.
Yeah, we'll skip past it. Let's talk some football.
Poor Brandon. I don't know that anybody that's had more car trouble than Brandon. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, just like you guys, I mean, we put a lot of miles on our car covering games. So
that's true. It's bound to happen eventually. So we're going to wrap up last week's football games, guys. How'd you guys do this week in your pick'ems? I know Kyle's going to be want to talk about his.
I did fantastic.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I went 9-1, so I had a good week. I missed the Nat game. Dang Pine Tree. Vince, you want some Pleasant Grove gear?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good,
hot
Eddie.
gear. Some
You,
hot gear.
say that for a fan. Don't
Save it for a fan.
don't send that this way.
I went 7-3. I feel pretty good about 7-3. I'm with you. I lost Knack as well, KO, but then I took a long shot on my boys from Rusk, and that didn't work out for me. And then we'll get to the Grand Saline Edgewood game later, but I was on the wrong end of that one with Grand Saline. But I'll consider it a win because they went for it like I would have done, whatever. But we'll talk about that when we get there. But I'm 3 behind my man Matt Diggs. I believe, or 3 behind Kyle and 4 behind Matt. So I gotta get there.
Well, I went 8-2. I mean, I felt pretty solid with my week. I missed the same 2 as Jeremy did there, and 2 of those I had center over Rusk, but that was the difference. Looks like we got some people chiming in. Chris said he went 9-1. Good job, Chris.
I wonder what game Chris missed. I'd be curious to know if everybody was on that Pine Tree Nat game. Not Jake though.
Let's see. Does Kyle do the pick'em?
Did we not just? Yeah, I went 9-1.
Yeah, he's in there. He's on the list. If you look at the leaderboard, Kyle's there. Speaking of leaderboards, Steve Evans went 10 for 10 this week. He was our weekly winner. Nice job, Steve. Nice job. Jason Shiver still leads with 49 overall right now.
Brett, I'm not sure, but I think our man Evans has gone 10-0 twice now. I think he was in that group when I went 10-0. We need to look at that.
Yeah, I think he did.
I think he was in that group of I guess it was week 2 when
Yeah, he did win already because he didn't qualify for a prize because he already won. Jake went 7-3. I told y'all Pine Tree was good. Okay.
I picked Pine Tree.
Christian 8-2. Let's see. Eddie says I have to scroll down. Let's see. Oh, okay. He couldn't. Man, is he talking trash, Kyle? Does he have to scroll down to see you?
Yeah,
Eddie's bringing the heat.
That's okay.
Well, Eddie is technically up on us right now. He's one up on Kyle, and Kyle's one up on me. I was 7-3 this week.
Wait, what did you just say, Brandon? How many up?
1.
Oh, I ain't worried about it. Okay, like you got to scroll down. It's just because we're tied. A lot of people are tied. That's
you're 1 up on me.
It's a long season.
Derek had a rough week. He went
4
on
Jeremy. So
Derek says the refs cheated him on the pick'ems.
I'm trying to be a changed man. They probably did.
Oh man. See, Palestine messed me up, and then Ruskin Center. That's what Christian said. I looking at the overall, I still got to catch my brother. He's ahead of me, so that's my goal right now is to get ahead of him. He's in second place, 1 ahead of me overall. So that's my goal right now. I got one person at a time. I'm trying to catch him. But tell you what, Vince, how'd you do?
I went 5-5. I'm going back to see which 5 that I got because I know I got Edgewood and I got Pine Tree, but I don't know what else I missed.
I don't think you got Pine Tree. I think I remember on the Beach from the East, you guys talked about.
Yeah,
Vince wanted to pick Pine Tree.
You wanted to.
See, I thought I picked them because I wrote it down right here as I was doing them.
Well, we've fixed this.
Because somebody said go ahead and pick them, and I said okay, I'm gonna go with them.
Well, it was probably Mark.
We can go back and listen to it.
You can go back in the app and view your picks now in the app, which is the greatest fix of all.
Okay, how do I do? Oh my!
How do you do that? You go in the app, Vince.
Oh,
the
wow!
American app. You know that app that we have.
Wow!
And you submit your picks. Like in there. So I mean, I know you forgot to do that last week, and you didn't. You got a 0.
That was 2 weeks ago. You know what? I wrote down Pine Tree and I didn't pick them. You're right. So whoever said I didn't pick them, but I wrote them.
Yeah,
I had it written down here because I guess that's what I originally wanted to go with.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Somebody probably
last year these guys accused me of, oh no, I had this team. No,
Marshall.
This year there's no argument.
I wrote down Pine Tree right here.
Well, that's user error then, Vince.
That's crazy. I wrote down Honey Grove too, and I picked Alba Golden.
You lost that. That ought to count as 2 losses, Vince.
What did I do?
That ought
What
to
is
count as
this,
2
man?
losses.
Hold on.
Change that. Vince now went 4-6, Brett. We need to get that fixed in the app.
And I wrote down Harmony, and I picked new. Man, hold on. These can't be my picks, bro. This is 3 picks that I wrote down different. This can't be mine. I wrote down Frankston, but it said I picked the Eugene Grove.
That was also a loss.
That question.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes, Eddie. Red zone covers Gilmer.
Man, I don't know, Vince. I think you need new glasses. You know, that age is coming up on you.
4 games?
That 4 zeros coming up on you, Vince, and you might need to get the glasses.
Man.
You can't get them in there right.
It's just a number, Vince. Don't
It's
worry.
coming too soon.
It's just a number. It's just a number.
It's coming too soon.
Let's talk about some of these picks that evidently Vince picked the backwards of all of them here.
I don't understand what I was doing.
Hey, if you'd only picked like 5 of them differently, you'd had 10-0. That's a CM theory right there, right?
I mean, I'm still trying to understand how I did this.
I don't know.
We are too. No comment.
Game 1,
I don't
Lindale
know what I
over
did.
Athens, guys, 40-7.
No, Eddie. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Kyle will be at the Kilgore Lindale game. If you listened to the show this morning, you would have known that, Eddie.
Ooh.
Because Kyle did tell us.
Ooh.
I still love you, Eddie.
I didn't say nothing.
This Lindale score, I think, was a little bit surprising. I mean, their defense, and Jeremy, you haven't been on here in a few weeks, but we talked about Lindale's defense has looked like a defense for the past couple weeks. You know, they'll be tested this coming week, but I thought Athens might be a little closer in that game.
You know, I think it says a lot when you start breaking down the chain of who's beaten who and how they've beaten who. I think it says more maybe about Athens than it does Lindale. Obviously, it's a good showing for them to only give up 7 points against Athens, whose team that they were 4-1 going in or something like that. But I think we talked about Athens and Brownsboro, and Athens' one win was against Rusk. We thought that was a really good, they'd beaten Rusk. We thought that was a really good win. Rusk proved they can't stop anybody either. So I think it's a great win for Lindale. I picked Lindale to win the game. I think they're going to get hot here, and I don't know if they're good enough to beat the teams at the top of it. But I'm not surprised that they won the game as convincingly as they did. I mean, I don't know if I would have said 40-7, but a 2-3 touchdown win for Lindale, I was not going to be shocked in that. I just think if you look at historically, right, look at who you trust, look at the coaches, look at Coach Cochran and what he's done while he's been there. I thought it was not as surprising as others, I think.
I shot a quarter of this game, so I got to see a little bit of it. Lindale's defense was flying around all over the place. I mean, Jake Kerbo was all over the field, and it wasn't just him, but the rest of the Eagles defense. I know when I was in Lindale, we had we called it Blue Swarm when you swarm to the football. So a little bit of Blue Swarm going on in these past couple of weeks for the Lindale Eagles. I'm excited for them, man. It's a big win over Athens. Athens got a good football team, and Lindale made them look bad. So congratulations to the Eagles. Tough week this week, though. It's a tough one. We're going to see what the Eagles are made of this week when they take on Kilgore. So the next 2 weeks, really, when they play Kilgore and Chapel Hill back-to-back. So we'll get to see what the Eagles are really made of. But if the defense can play like they played these past 2 weeks, they have a really good shot against Kilgore. But if the defense slacks up, the only thing I'll say, Kilgore doesn't have the most potent offense. So I don't know if they'll, score like 40 or 50 points on Lindale like a Gilmer could. But I think it'll be lower scoring. I think it's going to be a defensive battle Friday night.
Yeah, Kyle, I saw you down there for that quarter. This is the game I was at Friday night, and Lindale's defense was, like you said, it was the second time I've seen them. Well, I did their scrimmage against White House, then I saw them against Van, and then I saw them against Athens, and it's the best their night was the best I'd seen them on both sides of the ball. I mean, the offense has been kind of clicking all year. The running duo of Clint Thurman and Wyatt Parker are just something else. Clint Thurman right now is second in East Texas in rushing. He's the quarterback, and he's second only to Caden Dixon from center. So that's we know he's a stud. So Thurman, I mean, he's at 1,100 yards already. Midway through the season as a quarterback, and he's also thrown for. He's also thrown it around. He's got some really good receivers, but Lindell's offense has been tough to stop. It's going to be. I'm interested to see what happens this Kilgore game. Kilgore, like we thought, has just reloaded this year. They lost some really good players, but the new guys that have come in have just kind of picked up, and it's been just a 3-point loss to Carthage, and ever since that they've been kind of. But like Kyle said, they haven't put up a lot of big numbers. They won like an 18-0 game against Pine Tree, which was a weird one. But they had some that defense. It's Kilgore may have one of the better defenses around, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens on Friday night.
Yeah, with two teams like to run the football though, and that's what Kilgore does. It's hard to Lindale obviously wants to run the football, and that limits the possessions the other teams have. I think it'll be low scoring too, Kyle. I know we're not talking about that game necessarily, but I think it'll be low scoring. And I'm curious, Brendan, what do you think of Athens offensively? Because I think that's kind of the question mark. Like, we know Lindale's defense has been suspect, I guess, but what about Athens offensively? I think they're kind of a question mark in East Texas in general.
Well, see, I hadn't seen them, and I see their stats every week. And the Manning guy, the running back Jamari Manning, had been putting up big numbers. Richardson had been passing and throwing for big numbers, and so I was interested in just they could not get nothing going against Lindale. Lindale was forcing turnovers, and they were they were in the backfield all night, and so Richardson just didn't have time to throw it, and it wasn't. I think he completed 3 passes for like 10 yards. And so they couldn't get any passing game going. Well, when you can't get the passing game going, and they have a good receiver too, Athens, and they couldn't get it to them. And so they tried some jet sweeps. They tried some wildcat, and it just Lindale, like Kyle said, Jake Kerbo and the rest of that defense was they were flying around. And what they did to Henderson the week before after Henderson scored 49 against White House, and then Lindale held them to 7. That kind of and now they've done it 2 weeks in a row. So if the defense comes and holds Kilgore to, what do you say? If they hold Kilgore to less than 21, it's hey, this defense is it's going to open some eyes. So,
and to your point though, I think it says more about Lindale's defense than Athens' offense. I think Athens' offense is better than they showed Friday night. Because like you said, Brandon, they have some pieces. They have some athletes out there. But I think it was more of Lindale's defense just being that dominant that it made Athens look worse than they really are.
But we'll see what Athens does going forward too. So.
Yeah.
Well,
the only reason I want to argue that a little bit though is after watching the Rough Rider Eagle track meet Friday night over in Center, the fact that Athens only scored 29 points against Rusk makes me think maybe they're not very strong offensively. Yeah, they're putting up big numbers, but we looked at their schedule last week and we talked about the fact the only good game on their schedule so far is a 1-point win over Brownsboro, and then they beat Rusk by a touchdown. So I don't know. Listen, I think Lindale's defense has improved in the last 2 weeks. So for sure, I'm not saying that at all. But I think it's kind of a combination of Athens maybe offensively is going to be challenged, especially when they get in this district and the teams they're going to place now going forward. But I'm with you, Brandon. If they can hold Kilgore to 21 points, then Cochran just turned the switch on or something. They were just playing with everybody. I don't know.
Well, and you talk about the district, and we kind of, since we're talking about this game, let's kind of look and see where it stands right now. You got Chapel Hill and Kilgore at the top. Chapel Hill 1-0, Kilgore 2-0. And Lindale 2-0. And then you got Athens 1-1, Henderson's 0-1, Jacksonville 0-2, and Palestine 0-2. Now, those 0-2s aren't equal there, because Palestine has played Chapel Hill and Kilgore to start their schedule. So you got to look right now, and maybe it's Athens, Henderson, Palestine for that 4th spot between those 3. And so I think it's kind of wide open. I think we talked about Lindale and Kilgore being that second, third, but I think it's more of a stronghold now than what I thought maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think Lindale has picked up their play and is now a lot more of a lock on that 3rd spot right now as far as what we've seen.
Well, just from watching everybody last week, we were off last week, so I got to watch some of those games and got to see Palestine against Chapel Hill. I thought they had a great plan, right? But I think that it's going to be, Lindale is going to be, they're going to be a playoff team now, they know. Right, they still got to play Chapel Hill. They still got to play Kilgore. They're going to beat Jacksonville, as will everybody else. And so it's just now it's going to be Lindale and Palestine for that 3rd spot. The loser's going to get the 4th spot. I would say that district's sewn up. In my opinion, it's going to be Chapel Hill, Kilgore, and then I would say the edge goes to Palestine, just from what I saw against Chapel Hill, and then Lindale. But I think
now Palestine didn't look so good last week against Kilgore. I think the matchup is always tough. If you look back at the last 4 years, Chapel Hill's always struggled with Palestine. They lost, I think, 3 years ago, and then they lost 2 years ago to them. Last year they got behind and able to come back. and then this year they struggled beating them. So that's a struggle. I think it's just a matchup thing with the Chapel Hill game. So I don't know as I put as much stock in that. And I think Palestine played well, but I'm still interested to see what they do with the rest of the district now, because now they've got to start winning. Because you start at 0-2, even though you play the toughest two teams, you can't afford to mess up anymore.
Well, they're just not going to lose to any of those bottom teams. I mean, truthfully, Palestine and Lindale's the game for third and fourth. I mean, they're just Henderson, Jacksonville, and Athens are not gonna beat any of those other two. I don't think. And that's from what it looks like right now.
All right, game 2, Marshall 31, Hallsville 7. Not really surprised here on this one. Kind of Marshall has picked up the mantle as maybe that third seed right now, possibly in that district, with White House and Texas High up top. Hallsville kind of at the bottom of that district. So maybe I thought the score might be a little more because Marshall has been playing well. I think this is about the same spread as they beat Pine Tree a few weeks ago. So I think Marshall now, it's between Knack, Pine Tree, and Marshall kind of fighting down there at the bottom. And looks like Pine Tree has put themselves in a better spot than they were after the loss to Marshall with the win over Nacogdoches. So, I mean, Nacogdoches still has Marshall to play. Could be a 3-way split there. I mean, just because with these teams, you just never know who's going to show up.
Mm-mm.
I think it's frustrating for Hallsville, Kyle, because I think it was kind of like their last chance to steal a win and get in the playoffs, right? Like, if you can't get this one, you're really in an uphill battle for them.
Yeah.
But for Marshall, I mean, I'm with you. I'd be interested to see what happens with Nacogdoches and Marshall. I was all high on Nacogdoches last week, and honestly, if that game against Pine Tree goes 5 minutes longer, they win. I mean, if you just kind of follow the game flow, they had a chance to get an onside kick at the end, and they got the ball back at the end and couldn't get it done. So, frustrating for them. If, like I said, the game's 5 minutes longer, if they don't do some stuff in the first half, they have a chance to win. It'd be interesting to see. But Marshall, they put themselves in a good spot now. Take care of Nacogdoches, and you're in.
Yeah, I think the game kind of went as I expected it to. Marshall held Hallsville to just 158 yards of offense. You're going to win a lot of games doing that. So defense played outstanding, but I mean, Hallsville's had a rough year. I think stealing a win was the right terminology if they would have got one against Marshall, because I don't think they're better than Marshall, Texas High, White House, Nacogdoches. I don't think they're better. They're not making the playoffs. So that Marshall, Texas High, White House, Texas High has solidified itself as, I think, the front runner in the district for sure. Then you got White House, Marshall kind of hanging out there. That battle for that fourth spot is going to be interesting. With Pine Tree now having the advantage over Knack, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But game kind of went how I expected it to. Marshall's got a good football team. Hallsville's just not very good this year.
Anybody else?
I mean,
it's all been said.
Yeah.
All right. Game 3, the game we were just kind of talking about. Pine Tree over Knack, 23-20. I don't know what to say about this game, guys. Every week I'm like, okay, I go with Pine Tree, and they lay an egg. I'm like, okay. Then I went with Nacogdoches this last week, and Pine Tree beats them. It's like they're on a roller coaster. We kind of talked about it. It's like 1 week Pine Trees, they're out there, they beat somebody, and then you get kind of behind them on Pine Tree. They're doing well, and then whoop, they lay an egg. So I don't know. I really thought Nacogdoches was going to come in. I got to see Nacogdoches play Chapel Hill. Their front seven on defense were real impressive to me. And they had at times were able to keep Brisbane and Stewart at bay. Of course, they weren't able to do it the whole game. They broke out and got away. But I was impressed by them, and I thought they would give Pine Tree all they wanted. I thought they were going to be in that spot, but now they're behind the 8 ball now. They've got to steal a win from one of those top-tier teams to get themselves back in contention and hope that Pine Tree slips against one of the bottom teams.
I mean, it feels like an upset to me that Pine Tree won the game. I mean, just because you're talking about the kind of the inconsistency that we've seen over the last few weeks. I think that, like I was talking about, kind of watching the flow Friday night. I wasn't physically watching the game, but kind of see how it was kind of out of hand. And then Nacogdoches scores late. They get the ball back. They have a chance at the end to score again and get the win. I think that if one of those two teams was going to lose that game and have a chance to steal one later, Nacogdoches is probably the best chance to steal one against Marshall. I mean, if they can, I don't know if they can or not, but when you're a defensive coach and you have a team that has a D1 athlete, a couple of D1 guys like Pine Tree does, and you can hold them to 23 points, you should win the game. I mean, you should be fortunate to have 23 on the scoreboard. So offensively, they got to get some things figured out. I know we've talked about them a lot, Nacogdoches anyway, about their defense and their front seven, but offensively, they're going to have to get it fixed before they take on Marshall. They've got to beat Marshall now. I don't think they can knock off White House or Texas High, like KO said a minute ago, about, especially with those two. But they're going to figure it out offensively if they want to get in.
They lost to White House by 3. Was it 2 weeks ago? I think that was like a shootout.
Yeah, you're right.
52-49. So they don't have a chance at that one. So it's going to have to be Marshall or Texas High at this point, or they're going to have to hope Pine Tree lays an egg in one of those games. Oh, look who's on! Look who's Pine Tree over White House. Book it. That's So Dope podcast. Who is that guy?
Oh, I bet you. I know. I bet that's the Pine Tree's #1 fan.
I guess the fingers weren't scratchy.
yeah, just the throat.
Wow.
This Pine Tree team, I don't know what to think about them. Just like you said, Brett, I don't know. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't know what team we're getting week in and week out. So it's tough to call it. Good win over NAC. They got it when they needed it, though. That's a big win.
I mean, we say stuff like that, but the thing is, this is the reason why we suit up, because you don't know who's gonna win. I mean, we just don't. We just don't know who's gonna win at any time.
And we talked about that, Vince. We talked about that with Pine Tree. They've had that chance. We thought the game they had a chance to do that was against Marshall. Like, we thought that was going to be the game that we were like, if you're going to make the run, you got to prove it in this game. And they proved it this week instead, which after they didn't prove it last week, we thought, okay, well, we can write them off. And now here they are.
Mm-hmm. Season not over yet. It's just getting started.
Jeremy said everybody missed this game. I actually got this one right somehow.
Oh, well,
I didn't know who I
picked.
I didn't know who I picked.
So I don't know why my picks are off, but I can show you my list here.
Oh, there we go.
And based off of my list, I should have went 9-1.
There's my list.
The only one on my list here was
I got 10-0 this week. I had all the correct picks.
You know what? It don't even matter. You can go back and watch the show because it's all recorded. It's all recorded, and I wrote it down here. So it is what it is. But man, big shout out to Pine Tree. They got the win they needed. Now they need to go and beat White House. Well, if they can beat White House, even if they don't, you need to beat Hallsville. That's for sure. You definitely got to have that game.
I think that's a given. Well, I say it's a given. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
you never know. You never know.
Not going to count it. Game 4. Honey Grove 47-0 over Alba Golden. Man, Honey Grove is looking tough. I mean, we talked about the two defenses. Neither team had given up a whole lot of points until this game. And Alba gave up a lot, and Honey Grove didn't. And when you blank somebody, you gain respect from me. Like, I know Alba Golden's probably not as strong as what they've looked, but Honey Grove's there. I mean, they're going to be them and Cooper. I'm ready to see that one. I think that's going to be a really good game in that district, probably for the district championship. Kyle, I know you have some thoughts on this game.
Honey Grove's good, man. They've won 62-0, 63-0, and then back-to-back 47-0. So they haven't given up a point in 4 games. They're a really good team. Like you said, that Honey Grove Cooper game, that Honey Grove gets Cooper at home on October 20th. So circle that date on your calendar. Honey Grove Cooper.
I bet that will be in the pick'em that week.
I bet it should. But yeah, Honey Grove's a good football team. Here's the thing about Alba. We talked a little bit about this last week. If you play a soft non-district schedule, it's going to inflate your record and make you appear better than you really are. If you play a really tough non-district schedule, it could make you go 0-5 into district play and people kind of write you off. But this is the same thing that Alba Golden did last year. Started off like a house on fire the first 6 games, and they were 5-1, and then ended up not making the playoffs, going 6-4. So it's this district. Honey Grove and Cooper are the top 2 teams in the district. If Alba Golden can beat Wolf City this week, then I think they make the playoffs. If they lose to Wolf City, they may not make the playoffs again after a 5-0 start. So all I'm saying is we can't judge these teams just solely based off records, because you got to also look at who they played in the non-district schedule. And some coaches don't like to hear that. Some coaches don't like to hear, oh, well, people say we didn't play anybody. Well, I mean, if you just look at the team, I mean, you got to look at the records. And we're not, it's not like we're trying to bury teams or put somebody over, anything like that. Just looking at the facts. You're looking at the records. It is what it is. And I understand you play who's on your schedule. But the great thing about high school football, you kind of get to make your schedule. So you chose that. So anyway, that's my little thing. Congrats to
Coach Hubbard. Do you want to give a coach's perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, KO's right. As a coach, you always schedule according to where your program's at, right? Like for us at Brook Hill, as a team that wants to compete and win state championships every year, we challenge ourselves in the non-district. We play the Atlantas, we play the Graces, we play the teams that are going to give us a challenge. But if we were a team that was never going to win a district game, and there are some teams in our district that do this, they know they can't win a district game, so they do go schedule those week games. And that's okay, because ultimately your job as a head coach is to keep kids in the program and try to get better. You can't develop kids if kids don't keep playing. So where Alba Golden is, that's great. Hey man, look, you went 5-0. There's some enthusiasm about the program. Somebody on the show, I won't mention who, but his name rhymes with Brandon Ogden, include him in the top 10 voting a couple weeks ago because they were 4-0. But that's okay.
Dangerfield out.
And left Dangerfield out. But listen, but in all seriousness, what that did for that it got people talking about the program, right? And that's what you need to do if you know when you get to district you're really going to struggle, right? Now, as KO mentioned, forget the coach's standpoint, let me just talk about the schedule. The teams they had beaten combined for the year had scored 12 points. They had combined to score 12 points all year long. So the fact that they were 5-0 was not a shock, okay? And now they played a team that was quality, and they
got blank.
There was a blank space on their end of the scoreboard. And now we have bad blood, KO.
It's going to be a cruel summer when we get to it. And I don't look. I got enough heat in Alba already. It's not just Alba that does this. Like there are other teams that do the exact same thing and schedule weaker non-district opponents to get a better record. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. That's great. But for me personally, as a person that watches football and has played football, I would prefer to have a tougher non-district to prepare me for district play when the games actually matter. Because you're not going to get a good tell of your team playing somebody that's getting beat 60-0 every week. You're not getting a good tell on your team. You're not getting good competition. So
I kind of agree with that. Give me good competition.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you made of until you put in those positions. And if you keep blowing everybody out 60-0, when you run up against somebody that hits you in the mouth, you're gonna find out who's real and not.
You face adversity for the first time in the year, and then what do you do?
And then now you need a win because it matters, and you don't know what to do.
Look at Dangerfield's schedule. I mean, look who they schedule. They schedule Timpson. I mean, I know it's a down classification, but that's Timpson. You schedule Center. I mean, they jump up a classification against a team that has a potent offense with athletes all over the field. I mean, you look at their record; they've lost a couple of games, but they're Dangerfield. I mean, they've played some teams, and when they're district time, they're ready.
It's like I said a minute ago. It's all about perspective. It's all about knowing where you're at. I mean, the coaches at Alba Golden. There's no doubt that I don't know them. I don't know a single person there. So I'm not. This is not a negative shot at anybody, but they know better than anybody what team they have. They know better than anybody whether they compete in the district or not. And so here's the thing: if playing a tougher schedule is the difference in you competing for a district championship or not, then by all means do it, right? But if you know it doesn't matter what you do in the non-district, then I'm all for going and getting the 5 wins. Like, that's great, but don't be mad when people call you out about it either, KO. And that's
Right.
kind of my thing. Like, if you want to do it because that's what's best for your program, nobody knows better than you as the guy in charge. But you got to understand what all comes with it. And I don't, like I said, I haven't heard it. I don't know if that's going on or not, but you just have to look at it all in one big picture, not just in pieces.
Well, and use it as motivation. Put a chip on the kid's shoulders. Like, you can use that as motivation. So turn it into something positive.
So if I'm looking at it from just the other side of things, I can see a reason why you might want to play an easier schedule up front, because you got to think too. These are still kids, and when they start losing games, people start hanging their heads, and you get people who start checking out. You get people who start getting real negative. I mean, I work around grown people who are negative all day long. I know kids get negative. You know what I'm saying? So, imagine going 0-5, and then now you're going into district play, but don't nobody want to play football no more. So those 5 wins matter now. Getting them early so that they get their confidence up. So I mean, I can see either side of it, but it's kind of like what Jeremy said. You got to know what team you have. You got to know if you got some dogs like Deion Sanders. If you got some dogs, it ain't gonna matter who you play. It ain't gonna matter if the team is tough.
Well, and here's the other thing too. It doesn't matter who you play. If you give up 357 yards on the ground, you're not going to win a lot. That's that's tough.
You're not.
Tough. So
you won't.
But again, it's not just Alba. There are other Alba Golden. It's not just Alba Golden. It's other schools too that do the same thing.
For sure.
And it's I mean, it's like you said, Jeremy, it's to what fits your program. It's what and you said it too, Vince. You want to get the kids some easy wins early on. I like the way. I want to take you back for a second. Let's go back to 2009. Let's go on the time machine. 2009. All right. So think of the layout of East Texas football at that time. Little KO was a senior at Lindell High School in 2009. Anyway, I think the way our schedule was constructed was like it was in like tiers. It got progressively better. So we started out with Spring Hill. Then we played Wills Point. Those were our first 2 games of the year for as long as I can remember when I was in school. And then our third game, Pine Tree, tough game. Fourth game was Paris. Fifth game was Pittsburgh when they had old Teddy Burns in Pittsburgh. Then our district was Kilgore, White House, Nacogdoches, Henderson, Jacksonville, and then we lost in the playoffs at Sulphur Springs. So my point being, I like that kind of schedule where you kind of just tier. Like you should be getting progressively harder. I think the first couple of games, because you're working out kinks, making sure, kind of getting back in the feel of things. First couple of games, put some softer teams there. But 3, 4, 5, those kind of games headed into district should be ramping up to get ready for district play.
In 2009,
they don't go back that far.
I had been paying taxes for quite some time in 2009. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I'm trying to remember. I think I was still in Austin then. It's been a while. I don't know. I can't remember where I was at in 2009.
Yes.
That was a different
Lindell.
me.
Lindell had grass. Matter of fact, they got turf literally the year after I graduated. So
you're
welcome, Lindell.
All that NIL money you brought in.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to find that statue of you over there, Kyle.
Yeah,
I keep looking for it.
That's probably not happening.
Yeah, well,
soon.
it's in. We won't talk about where it's at, but it is there somewhere.
I'll probably get a statue in Emory before I get a statue in Lindell.
Maybe in Alba, but
how about Grand Saline, Kyle?
Hey, I'm welcomed over in Grand Saline. I like the people over in Grand Saline.
Game 5, Edgewood and Grand Saline. Game of the week, probably of our pick'em games. A 28-27 win for Edgewood. A big district game. Seeding implications in full effect here on this one. And Jeremy said that they went for it for the game.
Yeah, so following that thing, trying to update scores for you guys, Edgewood had actually, I think at one point it was 21-7 or even 28-7. It was a big lead for Edgewood. Grand Saline comes back and Edgewood scores. Grand Saline scores with leather helmets in 2000. Come on, bro. I was out there too. Believe me, they were not as nice and light as the ones we have now. My helmet weighed 47 pounds in the year 2000, I believe. I got a big head too. But anyway, Grand Saline, chose to go for 2 at the end of the game and didn't get it. Listen, I like the call. It's one of those game flow things, right? Like as a coach, you kind of feel out what's going on. You've got all the momentum. You were down by 2 or 3 scores. You get it back.
On the road, too.
Yeah, you're on the road. I'm all for going for it. It just frustrated me that they didn't get it because then I lose the game in the pick 'em. And I was one of the few that picked Grand Saline last week, if out of this group at least.
I had Grand Saline as well.
Yeah. So
I'll say the app shows that 55 out of the 71 pick Grand Saline.
okay,
Oh.
you know what, Brandon? We don't need facts. Okay, what we don't need is your facts around here.
I picked Grand Saline too. So.
You know who didn't pick Grand Saline?
Kyle, because he's got
Oh, there goes that statue.
That's one of my picks that actually panned out right. That I did have.
Oh, you got
Edgewood,
somebody that
so.
played against you, Jeremy. At center.
Uh-oh.
Kimbrough.
We had this talk about center my playing days.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Kimbrough.
Jeremy, like, get him out of here.
Boot him.
I don't have the
Get him
power
outta
to
here.
eject anyone, but if I did, I'm just kidding, Kimbrough. If you played, Kimbrough, we're getting way off track, but that's okay. Kimbrough, if you played in the 2000 game, it was the last game of the year. If you don't mind telling these people how cold it was in that game, I felt like it was 42. It really wasn't 42 below zero, but it felt like it. It was miserable. But anyway, it was fun.
Corey told you to pick Edgewood, Vince.
Corey didn't tell me to pick Edgewood. I told y'all why I picked Edgewood. I work with somebody that lives out there, and she told me how good Edgewood was.
That's the expert analysis you get on NetSN.
Jeremy beat me to it.
That was my expert opinion right there. Hey, I know somebody out in the area. She said, hey, you might want to go with Edgewood this week.
There you go, Jeremy. It sleeted that week. Said it was sick.
I believe it. But
Um,
he played. So unless this is Michael Montgomery, he played with Montgomery, and gosh, if he could tell, the other defensive lineman's name was Moore. He went on and played at UL Lafayette, and Montgomery played at A&M. That was a good group.
I played basketball against Montgomery.
I'm sorry, that didn't go well for you, did it?
Yeah, well, I wasn't guarding him.
I chipped 6 teeth in that game. Wow.
Mm.
One of them was mine. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
But, I mean, this game, as far as the seeding goes, I mean, we talked about kind of Troop and West Rusk have kind of, put themselves to the top of this district. And then you have Edgewood, Grand Saline, and ARP. I think those 3 are fighting for those last 2 spots. I'll be at the ARP Grand Saline game in Grand Saline this week. That's where I'll be doing the broadcast from. And so that's a huge game. Grand Saline now has lost to Edgewood. So it's almost like a must win for them. ARP still has Edgewood on the schedule. But that should be a good one on NetSN. But this one, I knew it was going to be a good game, but I was like y'all. I saw the score; it was 28-7 at one point. I was like, "Oh, I lost this game," and then I turned it later back to the app and checked it, and I saw it lost 27-28. I was like, "Oh!" I was thinking like block kick or missed extra point. At that time, I didn't know they went for 2, but what a game to be at, though.
I love the call by Coach Drennan to go for 2. Probably what the Commanders should have done Sunday against the Eagles if they wanted to win that game. Go for 2 when you have the momentum. But Edgewood, I knew that game was going to be close. These 2 teams are very close together. They aren't far from each other. It's a good rivalry. And Grand Saline got Edgewood last year. And the reason that I picked Edgewood was because they were coming off that terrible loss to Winona the week before. Revenge on their mind, plus losing to Grand Saline last season. You got to defend your home field. So that's why I picked Edgewood. And it was when it was 28-7, I felt good about it. Then I saw Grand Saline coming back like I figured the Indians would. And they nearly pulled it off. But I like the effort from Coach Drennan. And you're right, Brett, that game against ARP this week, huge game. And let me give you somebody to look out for on Grand Saline. Colt Boyd. He was a sophomore last year. Dude is a freaking stud. He's huge. He is a big kid, and he is all over the place. Defense, offense, he's all over the place. So look out for Colt Boyd, number 19, I believe.
Colt Boyd, okay. Be watching. So that district kind of sits, like I said, Troop and West Rusk at 1-0. At the top, you got ARP, Edgewood, Grand Saline, Winona, all at 1-1. ARP's already beat Winona. They blew them out. Now, Winona did beat Edgewood earlier in the year. So that one may come back to be a factor when it comes down the stretch too.
ARP kind of controls their own destiny because they've already played West Rusk and they've already played Winona, the kind of the two ends of the spectrum. They still got to play Troop, a big rivalry game. You never know what's going to happen. But ARP kind of controls their own destiny because they get all that. They still get to play all those middle teams, starting with Grand Saline this week. And Brett, when you enter Grand Saline, you got to go lick the salt rock
Yeah,
thing they have.
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Actually, go inside though. Go inside the little salt museum right there, and you could get little pieces of salt rock that aren't like just bare. But yeah, you can get little pieces of salt.
How is that still? Now listen, so my assistant coach on my basketball team, Suzanne Brawley, she was head coach at Van for a long time. So she knows about the Grand Saline Van rivalry for sure. But she was telling me something about this. I don't know why we were talking about it, but we were, because I think it's one of the craziest things ever. But she was telling me that diseases can't stay on that salt, which is why it's sanitary. No, first off, KO, I don't care if diseases can stay there or not. How many people have licked that thing? It may be a fact. No chance I'm licking that thing. Brett, do not do it.
How much money would it take you to lick that rock, Jeremy?
It's going to take 4 digits, and they're all before the period.
I'd do it for free.
Man, okay, y'all go ahead. Go ahead. More power to you.
I mean, literally, how many people do you think have licked that thing?
I have no idea. When I went there, I didn't lick it. I got me a
still
little
trying to figure out where COVID came from. Y'all talking about licking the salt rock that millions done lick. Nah, I'm good.
Well, it's in Grand Saline. I don't know about millions, so it's maybe thousands.
But one thing about that, let's talk about this game with Edgewood beating Grand Saline. Edgewood lost to Winona. Are we sleeping on Winona here a little bit?
No, Winona got beat by ARP 65-7.
Okay, listen, we're talking about the 4th spot. Who do they have to beat to get the 4th spot? Just Grand Saline, right?
Very true.
That's all they got to do.
That's all they got to do.
We get like a 6-way tie for second.
Well, they're not going to beat anybody else. But if they beat Grand Saline, they're going to be the 4th team, right?
Well, they're going to beat Quitman, and Quitman's out of it. But, I mean,
they still haven't played Troop or West Rusk.
Well, forget about those. Forget about Troop, West Rusk, and ARP. Those are the top 3, right?
But so, yeah,
he's talking about just that last spot.
Yeah, if they could beat Grand Saline.
We've kind of poo-pooed on them a little bit, and maybe we shouldn't have, which it wouldn't be the first time we were wrong. At least for me. But it's interesting. Maybe they do. I don't know when they play, but we need to find that out. But Winona and if Winona can beat Grand Saline, they're gonna be a playoff team, Brandon.
Hey, Jeremy, I bet I know where you can probably find that out at.
Well, I know, but my battery's getting low, and
so Winona plays West Rusk this week. Then they have a bye. Then they play Grand Saline, Troop, and Quitman the following 3 weeks.
So they get 2 weeks to get ready for a game they need to win to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm calling it right now, Brandon. Winona's going to beat Grand Saline. They're going to get
on the road in Grand Saline. On the road in Grand Saline.
Win the game. I'm just telling you. They didn't just beat Edgewood. They beat them.
And they were aided. Now, granted, they did this. Yes, 2 blocked field goals and 4 interceptions.
Well,
so yes, they did the turnovers.
Let's talk about another team we know that just wins games because of defense and special teams.
There's a team over in Bullard, the Brook Hill Guard. Their defense is pretty good.
But here's the thing. All I'm saying is I wasn't at the game. I don't know how these turnovers occurred. You know as well as I do. Some are caused by the defense. Some are just mistakes by the offense.
I'm with you. I hear you.
So that's all I'm saying. But we'll see. We'll see. You're right. We'll see. That's the beautiful thing about it. We get to see it play out on the field.
Here's the thing. When they line up, who's going to have the better athletes?
Winona, for sure.
Yeah, and
the better discipline is going to be Grand Saline.
For sure, but you and I have talked about that, right? Like they're gonna have the best athletes if they can put it together for 48 minutes. They're gonna win the game.
That's the thing, though. Can they put it together for 48 minutes? And that's
It's just interesting. We've kind of, like I said, we've kind of just written them off for a few weeks now, talking about them, and now they're putting themselves in a pretty good spot.
They've had a weird year. They've had weird, like they've looked decent in games, and then they've just, like, the ARP game just not looked good at all.
Well,
so
they got blown out by Grace, which we know Grace is
a good team.
They lost to Lone Oak by 21.
Lone Oak's not great.
Not so good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Redwater by 5.
That game was shortened. They only played like a quarter or a half.
They lost to Frankston 56-27.
Frankston's decent, though.
They're not bad. They beat Edgewood 41-28. They lost ARP 65-7. I'm
calling the Edgewood game a fluke. That's what I'm calling it.
Okay.
We got Statman Eddie. Is Winona's giving up 44.6 points a game.
Well, we said that about Lindo a couple weeks ago, and they improved. So Winona still has time.
How many's Gilmer giving up a game? I bet it's more than 44.6. And that average is going to go up this week, Eddie, because Pleasant Grove is going to light it up this week. But
yes.
Yep, they are.
All right. Let's go up to, speaking of Texarkana area, let's talk about Texas High over Mount Pleasant. Game 6, 58-29. I'm not sure what to think about Mount Pleasant. You know, they are in the district. We've talked about the district a little bit with, you know, Pine Tree, Knack, Marshall, and Hallsville. You know, Mount Pleasant, not a bad showing against Texas High. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I think Mount Pleasant could ruin somebody's day possibly if they play well enough and they knock off one of those teams that's fighting for a spot. I don't think they get in, but you know, it's interesting that they do have to play these other teams on the schedule, so that could be an influence in who makes it.
I want to give my man Eddie some love here. So a few weeks ago, I kind of made some comments talking about the fact that Texas High's 3-point win against Legacy was not a very good one. Eddie pointed out to me after he heard the show that Texas High had lost their quarterback in that game and that he would be back. Okay, so I watched a little bit of the Texas High game on Friday against Mount Pleasant, just watching it, and they're the real deal. And if they stay healthy, I was kind of on the fence about them versus White House and kind of who would be the district champion. It's going to be Texas High. White House, they may keep it close, but they're probably the second best team. But this week against Mount Pleasant really, I mean, I know they scored 29 points, but just kind of watching the two teams and not really watching the whole game, but just what little I tuned in, there was a noticeable difference between the talent level between the two. And Texas High looked a lot better than I thought they would after what I just seen out of them. And Eddie's right. They're young. A bunch of juniors and sophomores. And not young in age necessarily, but young in playing experience, which makes a huge difference.
Yeah, they got – so what basically is going to happen is they're going to do well this year. Any experience they gain this year is going to help them next year.
They're going to be really good next year for sure.
I was impressed with the
what? Interesting.
I was impressed with how Mount Pleasant performed against Texas High. Like you said, Texas High is the best team in this district, I think. But I was surprised how Mount Pleasant kind of kept it interesting. At least they didn't get totally blown out. Mount Pleasant, they have a path to the playoffs. They're going to have to steal a win, though. They're going to have to win this week against Marshall, I think. I think if they beat Marshall this week, there's a real chance they could get in. They lose to Marshall, you're 0-2 in district play. You still have to play White House too, so you're probably counting the third loss there.
They've only lost. That's their first district game. So
that's what I'm saying though. If they lose to Marshall, they would be 0-2. That's what I'm saying. It's important to get off to that hot start in district play. I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with them.
They're going to play a big factor. I think that's why. But what they've got left, everybody left except for Texas High.
Yeah.
So they could steal a couple of games in essence and ruin someone's day because they've got all these teams left. So it'll be interesting to see how they. Blevin says Marshall over Mount Pleasant 23-20. But he said he was the second best team. I'm confused, Christian.
Well, that makes me wonder.
Second in district.
So they're winning out the rest of the games, I guess.
Well, that makes me.
Best would be third still.
Well, that really makes me want to ask Christian for what I was thinking, which was how did he win his night spent with Snoop Dogg? Because that's apparently what he's been doing tonight. Because they're not going to finish second. So we'll see.
See, I can see that.
Eddie's on the track.
They'd have to steal. To me, they'd have to steal one against White House to do so, because I feel like White House is going to be second. But I mean, I don't see why they couldn't beat Marshall, Nacogdoches, and Pine Tree. I don't see why they couldn't beat all three of them.
I think our debates for the night, guys, just show how interesting this district is going to be coming down the stretch. Because you literally could have, I think we were kind of the consensus that Hallsville's probably the bottom feeder of the district, and any of these teams could beat anybody any night that could shake up the entire.
Now they'll have to step up every night. You know, because I don't think you can sleep on any of the teams I just named. Like you sleep on Marshall and they're gonna get you. They'll bite you. We seen Pine Tree. Lord knows nobody knows exactly what Pine Tree is. I don't even think Pine Tree knows what they are. You know, and sometimes that's good because it's dangerous. You don't know how to approach them. You know, and then there's Nacogdoches. We know Nacogdoches has athletes. It's just that it's just been unfortunate for them that the level of play that that they've had to face has been just a little bit better than what they've been able to put up. But it doesn't mean that they can't turn it around at any moment. So this is going to be a tight race. I mean, I think so, but in order for, I feel like you might be dragging a little bit to say that Mount Pleasant will be number 2. I can put them in the 3rd spot easily, but I don't know if I can put them in that 2nd spot yet.
Well, give him long enough, Christian.
I'd have to see White House lose one.
We've changed his mind a little bit. He's listening to us a little bit here.
Jeremy, you made a bold prediction about the last district, 9-3A Division II. I'm gonna make a bold prediction here. The Mount Pleasant Tigers make the playoffs. 4 seed.
You heard it here, Mr. Red Zone.
I don't think it's a crazy prediction necessarily because we're talking about Pine Tree. We don't know what they are. Nacogdoches. I mean, they have to just beat those 2 guys, right? And it sounds so. This is going to be like the most obvious thing I've said all night because we're in week 7 or whatever, week 6. They control their own destiny, like Brandon said earlier about somebody else. They've played the best team in the district. You're going to have to play the second best team, but if you lose it, you lose it. So what? But if you beat everybody else, there you go. They could finish as high as 3rd. I could see it if they win this week, obviously. But
we'll know more after this week for sure, how they perform against Marshall.
Yeah. Speaking of we know what they are, is Winsboro, guys. Winsboro with a big win over Commerce, 55-7. Commerce coming into the game undefeated, and Winsboro, Finney and company said, we don't care. We're just going to blow them out, 55-7. They've looked really good so far. I'm looking forward to the Pottsboro game, October 13th. I think that's going to be probably for the district championship. But Winsboro, man, they're cooking right now. Kyle, what about those? What about the Winsboro Raiders?
Yeah, I have been high on the Winsboro Red Raiders for the past 2 seasons. I really love what Coach Finney's got going on over in Winsboro. It also helps that his son Kyler Finney is an absolute dog out on the field. Dog. But Winsboro, man, they are good. I know some people have been saying that they think this Winsboro Mount Vernon game's going to be a tight one Friday night. I don't see it. I think Winsboro wins handily. I really could see
Sabine.
I know. But I could really see Winsboro making a run this year. I really think this is the year that they make a run. Yes, they have a tough region. I saw Pottsboro Friday night for a quarter as well against Mineola. Pottsboro's number 5, old Major McBride. That dude is a stud. Talked to Coach Blackwell. Got to see Coach Blackwell before the game in Mineola, and he was saying that he's told me number 5 for Pottsboro reminds him of Dawson Pendergrass. Watching him run looks, almost spitting image. So they have a stud that Winsboro is going to have to figure out a way to stop. But yeah, Winsboro, outstanding team this season. I can see them making a run, and I'm excited to see what the Red Raiders can do this year.
Yeah, Winsboro's pretty good. How good's Mineola, Kyle? I don't know. I'm asking you.
From what I saw, not great. But when I left, it was 21-7, and it ended up being like 55-40. So
that says a lot about Mount Vernon too. If you don't think that Mineola is very good, they beat Mount Vernon. Here's what they've done so far, Jeremy, for your information here. So they lost to Canton 34-12. They beat Hugh Springs 28-6. We don't think Hugh Springs is very good. They lost to West Rusk 48-33. They lost to Bullard 49-10. Like we talked about, they beat Mount Vernon 42-27. They lost to Pottsboro 55-40. So,
here's the thing, though. Their offense is the same offense they ran with Dawson last year at quarterback. Like, they don't have a true quarterback. They put an athlete at quarterback. Braden Alley, who's an outstanding athlete, but he's kind of being that Dawson character this year. Like, he's doing it all. He's throwing, he's running, he's doing it all. So it's hard to gauge Mineola. They can put up points, but they're having a hard time stopping people too.
Well,
So
and my whole point in that was I don't think that Winsboro and Pottsboro will end up being that close either. I mean,
I think it'll be closer than this Commerce game for sure.
oh well, I mean, gosh,
I think, but I'm still well. And then that comes back to the question: 21's close, right? Or is that blowout level?
Well, I'm just saying if it's 21, it's not. I mean, if you're going to say they're going to win the game handily, you win by 3 touchdowns. I consider that handy. I mean, that's
blowout. 21-0.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a blowout, but it's you were in control of the
handily.
game.
I don't think it's a blowout. Yeah, but it's handily. Dawson is doing very well at Baylor, but
So Pottsboro has played Van Alstyne. They won 28-22. They beat Carlsberg 34-28, Whitesboro 49-30, Munster 28-7, and Mineola 55-40. That's who
Pottsboro beat Whitesboro.
Yes.
Oh, then the region of boroughs is settled in my mind already. Then
it's Winsboro's region.
I mean, truthfully, Kyler Finney's a stud. You talked about dog. He's a dog. Kyle.
Here's the problem. About fourth round, maybe Winsboro Malakoff, and that will be the game.
It was second round last
second
year.
round. Okay, I couldn't remember what round. Yeah,
second or third round they played at Rose.
Yeah.
I did that game. I think it was second or third.
Okay,
but that's going to be the game that I think Winsboro is undefeated up to that point, and then talk to me at that point because I'm not sure.
We'll see. It'd be fun to watch that one. I don't know where it's going to be. Was it Rose last year, Brandon?
I'm sure it'd be at Rose again. Yeah,
I'll meet you guys there.
Yeah, 100%. But I think
there.
I do think
we're broadcasting that one right now.
The winner
on it now.
The winner of that Winsboro Malakoff game in the playoffs, I believe, will go on to represent the region at state
and play in Jerry's World.
Yes.
So. Another good one. Not to give it any the other one any love, but Harmony 42. New Diana 41 and a close one. What's that, Kyle? Are you calling for Harmony?
I'm just saying, man. You know, my man Boston Seahorn came back last week. He did his thing out on the field. The Harmony Eagles, the Red Eagles took on the Blue Eagles from New Diana, and the Red Eagles came out on top.
A lot closer than I thought it was going to be, though.
Yeah. Well, you know, I thought it would be kind of close. I did. I thought it'd be kind of close. Once I found out Boston was back for Harmony, though, that made me feel a lot better. He changes the team. He changes the tempo of the team. Still impressed with New Diana to keep it that close, and they went for 2 at the end, didn't get it, and then there you go. Same thing. They could have kicked the extra point. We might still be playing football. So. Big win for Harmony, though. They needed that win to kind of start getting some momentum rolling. And if you're New Diana, I don't think you're going to panic mode. I mean, you still have great opportunity. You'll probably make the playoffs because that district's not the strongest. But you'll probably make the playoffs. So I wouldn't panic if I was New Diana. But big win for Harmony. They really needed that, and I think it's smooth sailing for the Eagles, maybe till they see Queen City and then Dangerfield at the end of the year.
It's funny to me that I didn't know Boston played, and so Seahorn played. It's even makes me more uneasy about the whole thing for a couple reasons. For Harmony, if Seahorn's back and you only win by 1, I've kind of been I've been open about the fact I think Harmony is an above average team. I think they're a good football team. I don't think that what they did last year is maybe possible again. But to me, it says a lot about New Diana at that point. KO, if Seahorn's back, and we were kind of wondering the same thing with their schedule. Are they capable of beating Harmony? And they have a chance to win it at the end. They're not going to beat Dangerfield, right? But what can they do the rest of the way? You mentioned they're probably a playoff team. I think that'd be a huge thing for them to get into the playoffs and have a good year, win 7. You know, what could they win now? I guess 7 or 8 games. That would be huge for New Diana. So I was not shocked Harmony won. I thought Harmony would win the game because I didn't think New Diana had proven themselves. But they proved themselves a little bit. If Seahorn was back, and they lose by 1, have a chance to tie it or win at the end, kudos to them, and that we need to be watching them going forward.
And I agree. That's why I said I think New Diana is much improved from last season. I think they will make the playoffs, probably as a 3 seed, I would think. It depends on how they play that Queen City game. That'll probably decide the 3 and 4. But my point about Harmony, though, is they're still dealing with a ton of injuries. So just because Boston came back, which he's a big guy, he's a big piece to that puzzle. You also got to remember that's his first game back too. So kind of shaking off some rust. I don't think Harmony has played their best football yet. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I would
agree.
I think they're peaking up and going in that direction. And this was a good start to that. Whether you win by 1 or whether you win by 100, you got to win on the record, and that helps your momentum going forward. But I am with you. I think New Diana showed a lot that they're not frauds. They are a legit good football team that can go out there and make some noise in this district.
And nothing better when those Notre Dame looking helmets come out there and they're playing. If they still have those, I don't know if they do or not. But
I don't know. They might have white helmets now, I think.
Oh gosh, why would you get rid of that? Anyway.
Let's see. Eddie says
Wascom?
What?
Wascom's not doing anything.
Eddie.
Wascom's not even going to be vying for the 4th spot.
Wascom lost to Allegiant Fields.
Wascom and Hughes Springs will be at the bottom of that district.
Yeah, I think we were a lot higher on Wascom at the beginning of the year. When they lost to Sabine, then we knew, that was kind of.
I think
they've had a rough year.
Somebody hacked Eddie's account. Eddie's smarter.
That's not Eddie.
Or he's just trolling.
He's making sure we're awake. We are.
Game 9, Frankston 61, Union Grove 7. Ouch. As Frankston, puts their stamp on that one. I had Frankston in this one. Not sure I saw this. And just seeing this score, I want to bring up some things that I saw Friday night. Now, we talked about the record on NetSN, the basketball score, Center and Tatum week 1. We had some outrageous scoring outputs Friday night. It was like some people called up, hey, let's see who can score the most points. We had Beckville put 92 on Hawkins. Jeremy, as the defensive coordinator, I mean, what do you do on Monday if you give up 92 points?
Well, nothing
fire
on
the
Monday.
staff.
You go fishing on. You go fishing
Fire
on
everybody.
Monday. No, Bench. You go fishing on Monday because you resigned on Saturday.
Yeah, I wouldn't even walked into work.
Let me
Tell
ask
them
you though,
kids,
seriously.
Put them pads over there in the corner. I don't want to see you again. Everybody here, you're no longer student athletes. You are just students.
As a coach, what do you do in that situation? So I've heard conflicting reports. Let me just put it this way. I've heard conflicting reports. People in Hawkins are saying that Beckville kept their starters in midway through the 4th quarter.
I don't care. You don't give up 92.
Listen. The score was 71-12 at halftime. And allegedly, I wasn't at the game, so I don't know. But allegedly, Hawkins people are saying Beckville kept the starters in midway through the 4th. Beckville saying it was 2nd and 3rd string, 3rd and 4th string that was in at the end of that game, and they just kept scoring. So my thing is, you can't go out there and tell kids that don't play all the time, hey, don't go score. You can't do that. You can't. If the clock's running and there's nothing else you could do, the defense still has to stop you. But as a coach, how do you balance? You obviously, nobody wants to go out there and embarrass a school like you don't want. I don't know this, but I don't think that a coach goes out there intentionally looking to embarrass schools like these other coaches, these other kids, because at any moment you could be on the receiving end of that. This could also happen to you at any moment.
I could write a book about this whole situation. First off, tell me this: where was the game at?
Beckville.
Okay, well, you can't control the clock then, because I'm thinking if you're from Hawkins, the first thing you do is tell the clock guy, if you stop that clock for any reason, we're throwing you out of the press box.
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't know any history of Beckville and Hawkins. I don't know if there's any history there between the two. Who knows? But I'm with you, KO. There's no reason to embarrass those guys. Okay, there's no reason if it was okay, it's Beckville. Do they really have a 3rd or 4th string? I mean, how many kids do they have on the sideline? Okay, so I would say this. Here's the thing. The only reason I would ever say it's justified, and I'm not even sure it's justified then. This is the part of me that is a competitor and can't stand somebody to do some things they shouldn't do. The only reason I could justify it is if there was something between the two schools and the coaching staffs that happened, or something happened maybe on a Thursday night, or maybe it happened early in the game Friday. The only thing that I would say justify that would be something like that. And by that, I mean, last year you ran the score up on me and we're going to return the favor. Or maybe you took a shot at a kid late early in the game, and now we're going to put it, whatever that is. Okay. And I'm not even sure that justifies it, but I haven't heard that happen. Okay. But I'm with you, KO. If I have JV guys in there, or if I have freshmen in there, whatever I have, we're going to run the ball every play. We're not going to throw it. And I don't know if they ran it or threw it or whatever, but we're not going to tell a kid not to score. Like Corey got suspended. If I have freshmen in there, we're going to run counter and power over and over again. And if you can't stop our freshman Vince, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's on you at some point.
I mean, I'm not here to feel sorry though. I'm here to win football games. And yes, the game. I'm not saying I'm gonna keep my first stream in, but I'm saying I'm playing football. Because if I give you this ball back, what are you gonna try to do? You gonna try to score, right?
Well,
so you know what? There was a game. This happened years ago, and it was in the NFL. There was a game where something similar kind of transpired, and what happened was the coach took it easy. And what happened in the second half was that they ran up the score in the first half. What happened in the second half was a team that got blown out had came back and almost won. And now you got the team who had blew them out was panicking. And even the quarterback lost his mind because he was like, what are y'all calling? It's like, I don't want to be on the end of that. I don't want to lose a game like that. So to me, I'm not. We can chat it up. We can shake hands and everything after the game. But when that whistle is blown and that game is on, it's on.
You got to remember, Darren, it's the same guy, Vince here. When you guys kneeled it on the one versus Atlanta, he was calling for to punch it in.
Okay, but let me just tell you this: against Atlanta, we were going to kneel it down because the game at that point was over, right? We didn't need to do it. But two things about what you said, Vince, and I think you're right on both. You're right on one of them. One of them you didn't bring up. I'm not there to make you to make you feel better, but a good example of that is the Live Oak game. Okay, you guys read our Live Oak game, and we were up on that game 60-something to 2 touchdowns, whatever it was, and they kept throwing the ball and trying to score and move. They were still playing hard. Yeah. And so if you're gonna play hard on one side of the ball, then we're going to also, right? Like that's kind of the unwritten rule between coaches. If I'm beating you by 40 and you're still going to play hard, then guess what? So are we. But the other thing is, it's to keep the Taylor Swift theme going, KO, a little karma here, right? If you're beating somebody 80-something to 12 and if you did leave starters in there or even backups at this point, right? Injuries happen in games like that. I'm just telling you, it never fails. You leave a guy in there too long and somebody gets hurt and then you're kicking yourself for it, right? That's why coaches, when they're up by 40 or 50, just get in there and run it and get it over with.
Now, I don't plan on leaving starters in. That's not my thing. But I'm saying when my second stream is in there, we're still playing. I'm treating them like they're the first stream in a way, the first string. So like we're still running plays, and I probably don't pass the ball that much, but I think I would if I put a second string quarterback out there just to see what he could do. It's not even about like I'm trying to score. I might be just wanting to see what he's capable of.
And see, we ran into this against White Oak this year, right? Coach Ludlow, what he's doing over there is he's trying to teach his guys to fight and keep playing hard, right?
Yeah.
And so even though we had a big lead going in the second half, we put our JV guys in there. I think our starters played one series on both sides of the ball, maybe in that game. And we ran our regular offense. We were still throwing it and running our normal stuff, but it was against lesser talent. And so he was fine with it. And some of that goes to KO and Vince and Brett. It goes into who you're playing, and you got to know them and what they expect, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
There are certain teams we know that if we play hard against for 48 minutes, they don't have anything to say, right?
Yeah.
But there's some teams that if you're up by 3 touchdowns and you throw a pass, they're going to be calling your superintendent or head of school if you're in our case, right? I mean, that's just
just one last point I want to make too about it, and I'm not trying to be a butthole about it, but I'll say this: I'm playing football, playing sports. I've learned a lot about life playing the game of football, and you learn from moments like these. And what I'll tell you is this: in life don't care if you didn't score but 12 points. That's gonna keep beating down. Life is gonna keep the first stream in. That's the truth. And and you got to teach them that. You got to teach them how to handle moments like that, because they're gonna come for everybody. You could try to protect them from it, but when they get out in the real world, it's gonna be there. and you can't do anything about it. Only thing you can do is teach them from it.
It's just
You know,
all about
teach 'em
how
how
it
to handle
happens. It's all in how you do it. It really is.
I don't think that they left their first string in,
No.
but I will say this: like you said, it's Beckville. How many kids do they really have?
Yeah, I mean, you only got so many players.
And the other thing too is it's hard in football to not run up the score. So softball, for example, I've seen many softball games that have gotten out of hand very early. There's a way that you could just walk off the base, get an out, move on. So there's ways, and in basketball, you can hold the ball, stall.
Basketball too.
There's ways that you cannot run up the score. Football is the one sport where, like Eddie said, if you're not going 100%, you're gonna get hurt. Like you have to go 100% full speed every play, and you might get hurt then, but you have a bigger chance of getting hurt. I remember a coach told me to never stand around a pile because that's the easiest way to get hurt. And so you have to be going balls to the wall 100% all the time. And so, yes, it's hard to tell those kids at Beckville. Beckville doesn't care that they put up 92. They're celebrating it. And Hawkins probably didn't even, like Corey said, they burned the film. Didn't even watch it. What are we going to look at this for?
What are you going to learn from it?
Yeah, well, you're not learning anything from it. Move on.
Ain't nothing to look at that.
I mean, it is what it is.
So,
it happened, but
so this district now, you've got Frankston putting up big points. They're now 1-1. You've got Beckville at the top at 2-0. Harleston's playing well so far. They're at 1-0 in district. Ore City is 2-0.
They're playing some good ball too. Ore City is right now.
Mm-hmm. And so you've got Big Sandy, Hawkins, and Union Grove at the bottom. But I think you're looking at Frankston, Ore City, Harleston, and Beckville, kind of the favorites there right now in district so far. So it'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out. But I think Beckville has kind of asserted their dominance in this district. They've kind of woken up after that game 1 loss to Timpson.
You know, yes, they have. And I want to say this about Frankston. This is where we started, even though we've gone way off here. We've talked a lot about teams tonight who we don't know who they are. We don't know who Frankston is, right? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, they beat Union Grove. Union Grove's not very good this year, right? They're just in one of those years where small schools it happens. But they, you know, we scrimmaged Grapeland this year, and Grapeland's not terrible, but their record is not very good right now. Grapeland's record is not good, and Frankston got beat by Grapeland, and it was handily. They lost to Grapeland, you know. So I don't know what to make of Frankston. I think that, you know, obviously they have a coach that has the pedigree of winning a state championship before with Coach Gould, but you know,
they beat Winona, Jeremy.
Well, I mean,
you thought how good Winona was. I mean, that's one of their wins.
What was the score?
It was 56-27.
Okay, well, that's a little better. I don't know. I just think you know, they were a playoff team last year, right? I think that they will get back to the playoffs this year, but where will they fit in? You know,
they lost to Carlton already, so that's one they're going to be behind, and you're probably going to lose to Beckville. So they're them and Ore City probably in that 3rd and 4th spot. Probably they play the last game of the season.
Harlton's really good. I say really good. I watched them on film this year. We were scouting White Oak and got to see Harlton. I think they're a quality football team for that level for sure.
Eddie's got a message for you, Vince.
For me, Eddie.
Hey, let me ask y'all something. So in 6-man football, they have the 45-point mercy rule. You get up by 45, I think, at any point, then you call the game. What about implementing that for in a half? So what about implementing that for 11-man as an option? That way we don't have an 80-point game.
So let me tell you what we have in TAPS. In TAPS,
that's something different.
After halftime, if you're up by if there's a 40-point difference, it's a running clock. It doesn't stop for anything.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they do that in games now.
Well, but it's an actual rule. Like, you don't have a way around it. In UIL now, you could agree to that. But it's the same way in football, same way in basketball. If you get to 40 points, the running clock in the second half. I think that's the way to go about it. I don't want to end the game. No. But I do think a running clock would solve a lot of this because, listen, there are coaches out there who are getting their brains beat in and won't run the clock. And that's – I don't know what you're proving at that point, right? If your kids are getting smacked, then there's no reason to let them stay out there and get smacked even worse.
Hey, that's if you wanna forfeit and walk away, by all means you could do that. Matter of fact, I think we said that. We talked about that, Brett, and I was like, unless the referee stops this game, I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna use my second string, but I'm gonna keep playing.
I don't think you need to stop the game. I don't think a forfeit needs to happen. But I think if you're up by 50 points in the second half, don't call the game maybe. But yeah, like you said, run the clock consistently. Don't stop for anything. Hell, don't even stop for timeouts. Just let that thing run so you get 24 minutes of playtime, and then you're done.
And I'm going to tell you, it cuts down on the number of injuries. And taps, I love it. I wasn't a huge fan of it at the beginning, but there's so many kids, even because you're going to put young guys out there, and somebody's going to put young guys on the field, right? So you put a freshman out there against a senior, no matter who's winning or who's losing, the chances that young guy getting injured are way higher. Yeah. I'm telling you, I was there a couple years ago. We had 2 freshman linebackers. We wanted to get some varsity experience in a blowout game. One of them broke his collarbone in the first play. So I think that the running clock has really saved a lot of injuries. They still happen. I think it keeps kids from getting. We talk about not embarrassing kids, right? If your own kids are getting beat by 50 or 60 or 80 in this case, why in the world would you not want the clock to run and get out of there as fast as you can? And so I think that is something that needs to happen. And some coaches won't agree to it no matter what.
And they did run the clock in the second half. I can confirm that. They did have a running clock in the second half. But at that point, it was already 71-12. So, I mean, but I like we said, I don't know what else you could do for football. Like we talked about, softball, baseball, basketball. There's other things that you can do to speed up the game to get it over with. There's not much more you can do in football other than run the clock. And
just have to take a knee every time. Take a knee. Punt.
Well, I wouldn't even say keep running. I wouldn't. If I'm up by 80, I'm not throwing the football. I'm running it. Yeah. We're doing what do they used to call it? Schoolhouse left, schoolhouse right. Like, I mean, up the middle. We're just doing simple stuff. But
just punt on first down.
No.
So, no. Speaking of punting, there was not a lot of punting in this last game, game 10. Center over Rusk, Jeremy, 76-48. How does it feel to be a Rusk Eagle on the other end of this one? This got to sting a little bit.
Here's the thing. Obviously, watching Rusk and seeing their scores, not real sure what they were. Kind of like a lot of the teams we're talking about, kind of the theme of the night, right? We're not sure who they are. I think offensively, their quarterback is going to be really good. He's a sophomore. He's going to, as he gets more into Coach Sitton's system and is acclimated to Rusk, they're going to be fine. I was really disappointed defensively in how they played. Now, they got a couple turnovers early in that game to keep it close. And if they don't get a couple of turnovers early, and I think they got one, either a fumble recovery or a pick six, one of the two. If they don't get those, they get beat even worse. And I think Center's a really good football team. I'm not down on Rusk. I think Coach Sitton does a good job. I think they've got some athletes, but I'm concerned about how they can compete in the district now. I think obviously the class of the district is Carthage, Center, and Van. And now Rusk is going to be fighting. That Rusk Bullard game is going to be huge when they meet for that 4th playoff spot now. So we'll see what happened. But, it was – I didn't expect Rusk to – I picked them. Gosh, I talked myself into it last week on the show. But it was a long shot.
That heart versus brain pick, Jeremy, it's tough,
I know, and here I am.
In trouble.
Closer to Corey than I am to Brett. I got to figure it out.
So I love Russ so much, I decided to make a quick trip out to the field and check out the facilities, as we will be covering the Rusk Van game, a big game for Rusk. Obviously, would be a huge win if they're able to knock off Van. Van's, really tough this year. We'll have that game on NetSN this week. So
they're not beating Van. They're not beating Van.
Man.
And I'm from there. They're not beating Van.
Van's tough, bro.
I think Van's. I think Van's in the next tier up from Rusk. I do. I think Rusk is a playoff team. I think they're going to get in the playoffs. I think they'll beat Bullard. But I think
Rusk
Van's in the next tier.
Rusk is going to be the 4 seed.
Van's closer to Center and Carthage than they are to Rusk, in just my opinion, from what we've seen so far.
I can agree with that. I think that highly of them. Like I do. I think Van. I feel like we're not giving them enough credit and enough respect.
Did you respect them in your poll, Vince? Is the question.
I always respect them in my poll. Listen, I give Van.
Who's in your poll?
I don't know. I ain't did that poll. But the last time I did it, they were in my poll. I think I know they were in my poll because I was giving them some
week
love.
1?
Nah. I just missed the last two. I just missed the last two.
Listen, we know Center's a really good football team. They had 618 yards of offense Friday night. 300 and it's balanced. 306 through the air, 312 on the ground. You don't get much more balance than that. So, Center's tough, man. Center, that Carthage Center game later in the year. What day is that? That is the 20th. Man,
on NetSN.
Yeah, gonna be a huge game. So, I'm looking forward to that one. I think Carthage is the 1 seed, Center is your 2, Van 3, Rusk 4 in that district.
Eddie, Rusk's going to beat Bullard. They're going to beat Bullard. I think Rusk is man, Sitton is so defensive minded. I know he had to be frustrated with that Friday night. But man, Center has so many stinking athletes on the field. You just watch them run around, and they were able to score on defense and special teams, and so it kind of just snowballed on them. But I think Rusk is a playoff team, and I had them in the poll last week, and they need to prove it though. It's kind of one of those things to where you need to go get a win. If you beat Van this week, now we're talking, right? I don't think they can, but now you're talking.
So here's some stats for you. Center's point production: 80, 67, 52, 28, 57, 76.
Going back to the first show we did when we had the Center guys on, I told them I thought that they could beat Carthage this year. I ain't changed my mind on that yet. I think
they got the best shot.
They got the best shot to beat them, and I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna stick. Center's gonna come out number 1 in that district.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna gavel that today. Yeah, they coming out number 1.
Hey, and I got to see some great highlights from that Rusk Center game, thanks to NetSN on the Red Zone. I got to see some of those highlights. I actually cut the highlight of a Monty Cross. He got the snap, ran left, didn't find anything over there, reverse field, back to the right, ended up scoring in the end zone. It was they Center is good. Center is dang good. I'm excited to see that game against Carthage.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the Center Van game might be a really good game too.
It might be. Don't let that run by you.
Where can you find out?
The Center Van game?
Yeah.
Oh well, you can see that right here on NetSN.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games coming up.
We'll find out about Van. Really, and we all think really highly of Van. This is the chance for them to really prove it. I mean, right? Like this is the game. If they smack Rusk around Friday, okay, now let's talk about it. Yeah, that's right, Christian. Corey, you and Corey been hanging out with Snoop tonight. That's why Corey's not here.
I think he's talking about Vince and his prediction of Center being number 1.
Oh my man, I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. And when it happens, y'all laughed at me about the Beckville, and Beckville made everybody believers. They Beckville heard what y'all was saying.
Here's the problem.
It wasn't even about me. It was about y'all.
Here's the problem with that, Vince. They got stomped by Timpson without Bussy. Does it matter anything else? They got to go through them.
Yeah, if they play again, listen.
It don't matter.
Beckville ain't done
92 points
against. Okay,
they ain't scored 92 points against Busty.
SFA hung 90 on Texas College a couple years ago, and they didn't make the playoffs. So let's not worry about 90 yet.
Everybody hangs 90 on Texas College, man.
See, I wasn't gonna go there, but I wasn't gonna
why you gotta do Texas College like that?
I'm just saying, scoring 90 is whatever. I'll put you like this: the chances of Center beating Carthage are better than Bullard making the playoffs.
Here's this prediction:
are better than Bullard making the playoffs. Yeah, I'll take that too. I'll take that. Yeah,
Pine Tree and Bullard make the playoffs. Let's see him.
No and no.
I don't think so.
I don't know what Pine Tree is yet. We've been saying it all now. I don't know what they are. So
I'm not going to write off the Pine Tree thing yet. I'm not going to say no to the Pine Tree.
I don't want to speak on Pine Tree no more until we get there.
The problem I have with Bullard is what we talked about earlier with the scheduling. Like they don't schedule anybody, so we don't know how good Bullard is really. I mean, do we?
No.
I mean, they haven't played anybody other than Carthage, and they got donkey stomped. So I mean, I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, they need to win at some point. And who does Bullard have this week?
Bullard has Brownsboro this week.
Well, we'll
They'll
find
probably
out.
win.
Okay,
They'll probably win that one.
Yeah.
That I called that one the elimination game. We did our picks. Like the loser of that game is out of the playoff contention, pretty much. Like the winner could stay in to have a chance. Not they will make it, but they'll have a chance.
I picked Bullard to win the game, but how are they going to handle Baker? I mean, that's going to be the question. Can they slow down?
Do they have anybody athletic? They're not going to have anybody as athletic as him on their team.
Well, but there's a lot of teams will be in that boat against Baker, right? I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Okay.
Y'all, let's look at some polls, guys. And we'll since Vince didn't vote, we'll let him argue and see how he thinks we did.
Go ahead.
Chaos, he says.
Always chaos. I always root for the chaos.
All right, let's see. This is going to be our 6A, 5A poll. We got Lufkin at 5, White House at 4, Tyler High 3, Texas High 2, Longview 1. Thoughts, guys? Anything you see that sticks out there to you?
That's solid.
I had Marshall in there at 5 instead of Lufkin.
Oh, yeah. I put Marshall in there. You right, KO.
I had Tyler and Texas High flipped, but I think I don't have a problem with Texas High being 2 for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just, which one do you like at the point?
Just so Eddie knows, I voted Texas High number 2. I just want him to know that I voted Texas High number 2.
Oh, there we go. I also had Texas High 2.
I understand I ain't got to do it, Vince, but I just want that out there in the ether right now.
Don't let him push you around.
No, I want that out there now for later in the polls. That I just want it out there now.
All right.
He's trying to earn brownie points with Eddie.
Okay.
Oh, you got to thank you. There you go.
I think also, by the way, Brent, let me just say this. I don't think people understand. None of us except for you know the results of these polls until you read them out loud.
Correct.
So it's kind of a shock to us at the point too.
Yeah.
They only know what they voted. So, and I don't really look at them, honestly. I look at them whenever I pull them up to get ready for the show. So, let's see. Tyler High will have a close game against Longview. I don't think so. I think Longview handles them easily. I think Tyler High is gonna lose this week. I think.
Who said that? Is that Chris? Okay. Can I say something real quick? Last year,
go for it.
Tyler High. I'm not saying it was close. They had 3 red zone appearances that could have turned that game around. And I called. I don't know if it was Corey or Brett. I called somebody and I was like, this game should be 21-7 in the first half. But for some reason, Tyler High kept getting in the red zone and they couldn't score. They just ran out of gas. It might be possible that they turned that around, and at least in the first half they put up some numbers. I don't know.
I think they're going to be competitive early. I do. I think
it'll be now. Longview is going to be Longview. They're going to put it away in the second half, but Tyler High might try to keep up with them in that first half this time. They're a different team.
I think they might be a playoff team. I think they'll be a playoff team. They'll be a good football team. I think next year they'll take that huge next step where you maybe can talk about that.
Y'all are saying that Tyler High will keep it early close with Longview. Tyler High ain't kept it close with nobody at the beginning of games. They've had to come back. So they get down early to Longview. It could be a long night.
Well, I'm just saying. No, I mean, you're right.
You're right. I can't. You're not wrong. I'll say it that way. You're not wrong.
But yeah, I think that poll's it's going to play itself out. And as of right now, White House and Texas High are the top of that district in the 5A, and then you've got Longview, Tyler High, and Lufkin are the 3 teams that from East Texas in the Division 1. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think the only thing that could change is if Marshall beats White House or something like that happens, they could jump up in there. And I also think Lufkin and Tyler High could flip if Lufkin's able to beat them or Tyler High loses a few games. I mean, I just think Longview is kind of clear cut to me at this point. Unless they lose, I think they're not going to lose that top spot.
Yeah.
All right. 4A. Here we go. At number 10 is Bullard. 9, Sulphur Springs. 8, Lindale. 7, Gilmer. 6, Van. 5, Center. 4, Kilgore. 3, Pleasant Grove. And we have a tie this week at 1 with Chapel Hill and Carthage.
So, in my picks, I did not have Bullard in there. I had Rusk at number 10, actually. And the reason I kept them in is because of how they performed against Center. We know how good
the quality loss, Kyle.
A quality loss theory.
I didn't know you had that theory. I thought that was.
Y'all turned me.
You didn't like the quality loss theory.
Y'all turned me.
Remember we had this week 1. It was like Kilgore lost. It lost to Carthage, so it doesn't.
Well,
matter.
he said it right. He said it right. He said we turned him. So
Y'all turned me.
Yeah.
So
we'll let him make it.
At least for this one, because I may have messed up. Anyway, so number 9, I had Sulphur Spring. I had Sulphur at 9, and then I had anyway, I had a few different. All the teams were in there except Rusk.
Actually, according to my votes here, Kyle, you had Gilmer at 9.
Yeah, I had Gilmer at 9. That's what I meant to say.
Okay,
I tried to keep up with it over here.
So
I had Gilmer at 9.
I had the same top 10 teams as we have. I'm probably the one who swung the vote. I did go back to Carthage at 1 this week. I'd been kind of on the fence. I went back to Carthage at 1. PG 3, Kilgore 4. I had that. I have Van and Center flopped. I think Van at 5 and Center at 6, mainly because I think Van plays better defense than Center does, and they're going to get a chance to prove that here in a couple of weeks. I had Gilmer at 7. I would have put them lower if I thought there was anybody worthy of being better than that. I don't think they can stop anybody either. Sulphur Springs, I had at 8. I had Bullard at 9, Lindale at 10, just because I haven't had Lindale in there. I've had Bullard in there. They haven't done anything to knock them out yet, but I think I had Rusk at 10. I put Lindale in there at 10 this week, and we'll see what Lindale does.
I had Bullard at 10, Sulphur at 9, Lindale 8, Van 7, Gilmer 6, Center 5, Kilgore 4, Pleasant Grove 3, Carthage 2, and Chapel Hill 1. So that's where that's pretty similar. I mean, I think we're all pretty close on that. That top 6, 7 haven't changed a whole lot. Once they start playing each other here, it'll start shifting these a little bit. There may be some changes in here, but as of right now, because this week you got Lindale, Kilgore playing each other, that could shift a little bit. You've got Van playing in Rusk, so if Rusk was to win, they could knock Van down. You got a lot of shifting that could go on here. So let's see what we got. But
I think Chapel Hill and Carthage tied at 1 is perfect, right? Like,
yeah,
I think that's more than fair.
Can we play that game? Can we just skip all the playoffs and just play for state right now? Carthage Chapel at Rose Stadium.
Carthage won't agree to play them at Rose. I'm just going to tell you. They have to go somewhere else.
They probably won't. Nah, yeah, they want to go somewhere neutral.
Let's see. The Christian's calling for it right now. First game of next year, Chapel Hill versus Carthage. Woo!
I'm not gonna rat anybody out yet, but I've heard a couple of coaches talking about who they've got scheduled next year early on. It's gonna be some fun weeks next year. I'm just telling you.
I mean, when I was in school, we used to play Carthage all the time. I don't know why they can't go back to that. We hated it, but we did. They were big back then. I don't know what they feed them kids down there.
All right, so let's drop down to our 3A, 2A TAPS poll. This one is usually really interesting. A lot of teams in this mix. All right, here we go. At 10, we have Harmony. At 9 is Grace Community. 8 is Hooks. 7 is Garrison. 6 is Troop. 5, Dangerfield. 4, Beckville. 3, Winsboro. 2, Malakoff. And Bussy and them boys and Timpson at 1.
I mean, it's the first like 6 or 7 of these are they're pretty much, I would say the first like 8 or in my poll, the first 9 are locks. The only one I really changed was number 10. I put Dieball in at number 10. And the reason I put Dieball in is because one, it's deep East Texas that nobody talks about, but also they played Franklin this year, Franklin, perennial
They're good.
state. Yeah. Only lost 28-13. And they moved that game around. It was supposed to be a home game for Diboll. Diboll had some lighting issues at their stadium, so they had to move the game to Franklin. So it was technically a home game on the road. Anyway, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They just knocked off Palestine Westwood 14-3. Westwood was previously undefeated
and scoring a ton of points.
So I threw Diboll in at 10 on mine. But other than that, it may not be the exact same order, but all those other teams are in the top 9.
Yeah, I had Troop at 5. I think I had them in where we have Dangerfield and Troop. I think I had them flip flopped. I think I had Dangerfield below just because Troop's undefeated. They've shown that they beat everybody on their schedule. I know Dangerfield's losses were, I could say, quality losses, but I think right now Troop is one of the better teams around with what they have going on. I had West Rusk at 10. I think they're starting to come on. I was impressed by the win over ARP because I think ARP's been pretty good this year, and they dismantled ARP pretty easily. So that win impressed me. So I have them in. I also have Jefferson in at number 9. They've played well. I think they're not going to have as tough a road in district as maybe what we thought in preseason is, Tatum can't stop anybody, and Atlanta's kind of down, and I think they're as good as what we thought they were. So, but I think all those teams, I got Garrison at 8. Hooks at 7, and then the top, like I said, the top 2 tiers are Beckville, Winsboro, Malakoff, and Timpson. So pretty solid there.
So I also had Jefferson in. I had them at number 10. Obviously, make it. I did not have Harmony in the top 10. My top 3 are the same: Tatum, Malakoff, Winsboro, and this is a conversation I really need some. I need some guidance here, Vince, and not from you because I know where you're going to go with this. I had Beckville at 7, and so for them to finish 4th means you guys had them up there, way up there.
I had Beckville at 4.
I had Beckville at 5, but I had Winsboro at 3, Dangerfield at 4. I had Dangerfield and Winsboro above them, and Malakoff and Simpson.
So I had Dangerfield at 4. They finished 5th. All right, so obviously, I can't. I just need somebody to tell me why we're putting Beckville above Dangerfield, Troop, or even Garrison at this point.
So I have Beckville right above Troop. Their only loss was to Timpson, and they've been impressive since then. They've played well, and so I don't punish them. I don't think Troop has played anybody that tough on their schedule. So that's why I have Beckville up there. Now, Troop beats West Rusk. That's a quality win for me. Or they beat ARP or somebody that, I think is pretty good. I could see them jumping back over the top of Beckville. I don't think Beckville has anybody in their district that's going to be a good win. But that's why I have them that high.
Yeah. I mean, that's their one loss is to Timpson, who I have ranked number 1. So I think putting them at 5, that's the only reason I put them at 5.
Now that's an educated answer. I was just gonna tell you, Jeremy, because they the truth. But you just can't see it yet. You don't want to see it.
I have Dangerfield at 6 because the 2 losses that Dangerfield.
But I will say this: I feel like
losses though.
I just being all fairness. I feel like the top. Take out Timpson. I feel like the next 3 teams could all be tied for number 2. In my opinion. I mean, it's this list is the hardest one to me. All these teams.
Here's my issue with Beckville.
To me, all these teams are winners.
Here's my issue with Beckville. Okay, they lose to Timpson, whatever. Okay, they beat Joaquin by 30. Joaquin still is looking for a win, right? They beat Harmony by 17. Harmony was down, right? Kyle, when did they lose their guys? In that game or before that game?
In that game, and they only played a half.
Okay, so
it could have been worse.
Well, but not healthy, right? Not healthy.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They beat Elysian Fields, who's not good. They beat Big Sandy, who's not good. They scored 90 against a team that couldn't defend themselves, apparently. You look at Dangerfield, right? Who's Dangerfield lost to? Center. Who else?
Timpson.
And what was the score in that game?
That was a close one.
Yeah, real close.
Yeah.
So I just look at the schedules and I look at Beckville and I'm thinking, what
That's
have they
why
really
I had
done?
That's why I had Dangerfield
No,
above.
I'm with you on
Beckville.
Dangerfield, right?
Yeah, I had them above Beckville.
But I want to pull up Troop's
But
schedule.
who else do you have above Beckville though? Because you got them at 7 though.
I have
Yeah.
Dangerfield,
Like,
Troop,
to
and
me-
Garrison all three. I mean, Garrison's running the football at 300 yards a game. What do you want them to do? Like,
What's
I mean,
But
so Garrison hasn't their best win is against ARP. To me,
what was the score in that one?
48-20. But they beat Houston.
I don't know.
They're garbage. I don't know who won
again,
it.
like
Alto's
these
not any
teams,
good. Joaquin's not good. West Sabine's not any good. They haven't played anybody. That's my problem. Now they come out and they beat Timpson, then we'll rethink where Garrison is in this poll. Or they compete with Timpson. I could give them a quality loss, like in Kyle's theory there. The quality loss. They come out and they stay within a touchdown of Timpson. Okay, well maybe I moved them up.
and then I don't like to do the last year thing, but you do remember last year Beckville lost again to Timpson and then turned around and won out. You know, like they're still a good team, and I think that I'm not saying they should be number 2. That's not what I'm saying. It's hard, but I don't think because of the Timpson loss they need to go any lower than 5. 5 maybe.
I'm going to say this.
Kyle wants you to answer this one.
If they have a marketing department at Beckville High School, they all deserve raises. I'm just going to tell you, I've made my points very clear. I'm not going to bring this up again. But name the last time they had an impressive win. I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait.
All right.
92-12 is pretty impressive. I don't care.
No.
I mean, how many teams have beat someone 92?
He don't want to look at the 92.
Listen,
I mean, I don't care who you're playing. You got
It
Brett.
don't matter. Yeah.
There are plenty of teams every week who could win 90-12, but they choose not to. That's the truth.
Yeah, I mean,
They choose. That is, y'all know that. Y'all know
But
dang good and
but,
well.
but hold on,
there are teams who win
Jeremy,
90-12 every week.
Are we saying that Beckville tried to score 92? Because maybe they didn't, and nobody stopped the game.
I'm just saying. I mean, I was in the game this year. You were there.
I was
against
I
Liefeld. How many
remember.
points could we have scored?
I still think
How many could we have scored if we
to
wanted
me
to?
the Harmony win has to mean something.
All right, so what is I'm gonna ask you this then. Looking at their schedule, they got Ore City, Frankston, Harleton, and Union Grove next.
It's going to take the play. They're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to win a quality game in the playoffs for me to believe. I'm just going.
Okay, that's what I was about to
being
ask
honest
you.
with you.
That's what was it gonna
I'm just
take?
being honest with you.
Harleton is their toughest opponent left, probably.
Well, and they're gonna beat them. I mean,
They're gonna beat
district's
hard.
Not very good.
They're gonna beat hard.
Kyle, I want you to answer Eddie here because I'm ready.
Well,
I want to know what you're gonna say.
well, that's not a question, and it's also not factual because Timpson beat Dangerfield and Beckville, who are both ranked. So they're not the only team that beat 2 ranked teams. But that's not a question. I mean, I ranked Hooks 8th. That's where I put Hooks.
I had Hooks 7th.
So I mean, if so, what?
I'm not sure where he wants them.
He probably wants them number 1. It's not gonna happen.
They've played with their sophomore QB since week 1.
That's awesome, and I'm not being sarcastic. That is awesome, but
said he's saying Garrison and Troop have.
I do agree. I think Troop's played a weak schedule. I don't know who would be Troop's best win right now. Quitman?
They don't have a good one. They don't have a
Yeah,
Troop.
that's what I'm saying. So
Troop doesn't have
that's why I put Troop. I had Troop at 9, and I had Hooks at 8. I had Garrison at 7, and I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I had Harmony at 6. The reason I had Harmony at 6 because I had them number 1 to begin with. It's where they started. That's why I haven't dropped them so far. Then I had Beckville, Dangerfield, Winsboro, Malakoff, and Timpson.
I respect that. So the ideal is like it's not like in the BCS, like we used to have the BCS, and you lose a game and you go from number 1 to number 10 or 12. You know,
That's not how I do it.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I know
they didn't lose to a bad team. Hooks is a good football team. I don't know how many times I have to say this. Hooks is 8 is a slap in the face. Was 7 a slap in the face, Eddie? Because you didn't say that to Brett. So anyway, I've been saying Hooks is a good football team. Like I agree, they are a good football team.
So here's the deal.
I don't know what else.
Troop. We've talked about it. They haven't really played. They're gonna play ARP. They're gonna play West Rust. They're gonna play some teams.
They got some teams coming
on the schedule that are better than what they played so far. We'll know what Troop is here in a few weeks. Garrison's the same way. They're pretty much we'll know what they are when they play Timpson. If Hooks continues to win and these teams lose, they'll move up the rankings.
And I think it's such a matter of perspective, right? Like KO has Harmony at 6. I don't have them in the poll.
I don't either.
And so I don't consider the win over Harmony as being that great of a win at this point, right? Like, and so I can't argue top 5. I think the top 4 teams are for sure set, and I don't think they're any close to Timpson, Malakoff, Winsboro, and Dangerfield. I think it's the best 4 teams. I mean, so I don't think they're in the top 4. If you want to argue 5, okay. Here's the thing. Maybe we should have the BCS, Vince, because at least the computers have their consistent system. We're all over.
We are all over the
hell
place.
we're doing.
Yeah, we are.
We're all over the place.
We all have our
I
own.
don't know what the
We
hell's
all have
going
our
on
own.
here.
Our own system. Where'd you have Hooks, by the way, Jeremy?
I had them at 8.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean,
you had them at 8 too.
So I had Hooks
okay.
the highest
All right.
of anybody. Okay.
So I'm not the only one. Anyway, and Christian, the way that I had Harmony at 6 is because, just like I said, I had them ranked number 1 to begin with. They lost to Beckville and Dangerfield, who are arguably, as we see, 2 top, or not Dangerfield, I'm sorry, Beckville and Hooks, who, as we're seeing now, arguably 2 top 5 teams. So I'm not going to drop them out of the poll because they lost to good teams.
Maybe
Okay.
what we do is
So
if we could see where the picks are and we start from there, then you don't have people all over the place with adding teams and putting them high up in the rankings that have never been there. The BCS ranking wasn't that. I mean, I ain't gonna say it wasn't that bad. It was bad. It was bad, but it's better than this.
So,
it's better than how we doing it.
you mean how us 3 are doing it, Vince? Because you didn't vote.
Oh.
Yeah, you remember how I quit.
So let's
let y'all do it.
I'm gonna throw Brandon under the bus. That is in Brandon. He left early. He ditched us. He didn't put Hooks in the poll at all. So Eddie, Brandon,
thank you,
Ogden.
Bro, how many times?
Go on Twitter and message him about that this week.
Listen, I didn't have Hooks in the poll to begin with in my first poll of the season. So I had Harmony number 1. I didn't have Hooks in. So Hooks beats Harmony. I still know Hooks is a good football team. I just forgot to put them in the poll week 1. Then I started trolling you because you started giving me a hard time about it. So now I start putting them in the poll. You're still giving me a hard time about it. Here's my thing. I had them at number 1. I didn't have Hooks ranked. So I drop Harmony down to 5 or 6, right? They lose to good teams that are ranked. Hooks is now ranked. I'm not going to hop them over teams that are already unbeaten when I didn't have them ranked. I don't know why I got to explain this every week. I don't get it.
The only thing I'll say is this: if it's close, I'm going to go with the team that won, right? And I'm just telling you what my logic is of having Hooks over Harmony. It's because to me it's close and they did win the game, whatever. But I understand what you're saying.
Different.
I think that's the great thing about rankings, right?
That's why it makes this show interesting, and that's why everyone's tuning in to listen to what we say, and then tell us we're wrong.
I don't think that's one.
And tell us we're wrong.
Yeah, it's to tell us we're wrong.
All right.
They don't care what we
All
have
right,
to say.
so Jeremy, where are you going to be this Friday night?
And we're at homecoming night at Harrington Stadium, and Arlington Grace Prep coming to town. Pretty athletic group, and we're getting healthier. We're getting healthier, and you guys have seen us. We're trying to peak at the right time. We start district play. This was actually supposed to be a district game, and Dallas Shelton, they decided that they didn't want to have to play with the big boys anymore, so they backed out of the district. We picked up Arlington Grace Prep, and we start district next week. And I think you'll be at both those games the next 2 weeks for us, on the road at Dallas Covenant, then at home for Dallas Christian. Our 2 biggest games of the year so far for us. So we're just trying to get things right after a bye week.
Yeah, Netison will be at 3 of the 4 games in October. We'll we're traveling with you guys to Houston that last week of October. So, yeah, we'll have a lot of fun. Kyle, remind everybody where you're going to be this Friday night.
I'm going to be at R.E. St. John Memorial Stadium in Kilgore for a big district matchup between the Kilgore Bulldogs and the Lindale Eagles.
Whoa. Kilgore fans are going to be sending you some hate mail.
It should be a good. Well, it should be a good game though. I'm really looking forward to it. I think, like I said earlier, I think it'll be a defensive battle. So highlights are going to be at a premium. Going to have to make sure we get the good ones.
And then my man's going to be on TV.
Yeah, I'm going to be on TV afterwards, and then you could catch.
We even got a compliment. We do a great job. Even Kyle, look at that.
Then you could catch me on Red Zone Overtime streaming after at 11 o'clock, 11:05.
I love seeing that Tuesday link from KLTV Red Zone on Facebook.
We didn't get one this week.
KO, you didn't do one this week,
no,
did you?
we didn't get one this week. I don't
next week. If Coleman's coming to Brookhill, I'm gonna tell him he better get you on.
Okay.
Vince,
we want more KO.
Vince, where are you gonna be this week?
I'm gonna be at Bulldog Stadium, watching Jacksonville and Chapel Hill battle it out.
Save your money.
I'm trying to make it sound interesting, but in my head I was like, this is about to be a beatdown.
Save your money.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's wrong. I should. They're kids.
Save your money.
It's gonna be bad.
They're kids. They're kids, Jeremy.
You just said you didn't care about the kids when they put up 92.
Yeah, well, that's more about the coaches.
Care about the kids.
That's more about the coaches. I'm teaching them kids a lesson. I'm doing them a favor. They won't see it until they graduate.
They won't understand it till they're older.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm gonna be watching Chapel Hill and Jacksonville play. Me and Whitman are gonna be on the call for that one, I believe. And I think Rob's running camera for that.
Yep.
So
Rob's on the camera. And I'll be traveling to Grand Saline for a big district matchup between the ARP Tigers and the Grand Saline Indians. Mike D will be rolling with me. We'll be on the call of that game. Kickoff 7:30, and so it should be a lot of fun. We'll also have, like we mentioned earlier, the game right behind us will be in Rusk as the Van Vandals will be coming to town to take on the Rusk Eagles. We'll be broadcasting the game. Our actual center guys are going to roll over on their bye week and call that game in Rusk. So it should be a really good one. Lots of good action on NetSN. So if you're sitting at home or you're at a game and you just want to check some stuff out, we'll have lots of good coverage this week. To close, guys, Christian's got a good one here. Who you guys got this week? I don't have to ask a couple of you, but it's all about the horns this week, right? I mean,
oh my God, why are you at? You don't have to ask that. You know what this is,
and it's gonna be bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be bad.
Brett? What's our record?
What's our record? 5-0.
Have we lost?
Nope, they haven't lost.
We beat Bama. So we ain't lost, and we beat Bama this year, right?
OU hasn't lost.
I ain't worried about OU. I ain't worried about it. Next subject.
Hey,
they got General Booty though.
I don't care who they got.
I think he moved to a different school.
We smacked Bama this year. Ain't nobody talking to me about Texas no more.
27 OU. Christian, you're banned.
Oh, bye, man. I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, this one's for you, Jeremy. Corey, Sco Buffs. Oh man.
I'm done commenting on Dion.
I can tell
Jeremy's tired.
That's gonna do it.
I mean,
he's tired of it.
That's gonna do it for tonight's show. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and watching this evening. We'll be back next Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Enjoy your football this weekend, whether it's high school, college, NFL. For Jeremy, Kyle, Vince, I'm Brett. We'll catch you next time right here on the Weekly Wrap-Up Show. Y'all have a great week and a great weekend.
Later, guys.
Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español.
Struggling with mobility, chronic pain, work, or sports injury? At Azalea Orthopedics, our team of highly trained physicians specialize in complete orthopedic care, pain management, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. If you've sustained a bone or joint injury, have mobility or movement problems, struggle with pain, contact Azalea Orthopedics. We're conveniently located across East Texas, serving 18 counties. When visiting your doctor, urgent care, or hospital, you have a choice. Demand Azalea. At Azalea Orthopedics, your health is our priority.